How about this? How about thank you so much for joining our podcast, Creatures of the Night. I'm Chris.
I'm Wendy.
And we do this thing where we talk about paranormal stuff and stories and cool shit. And you get to join us for this epic 1 hour to 1.5 hours to 2 hours conversation.
Well, in total for us, it's a 5-hour event.
Yeah, right.
Where we talk bad about our jobs and gripe about our week. And we cut all that shit out so you don't have to listen to that. And right. Because there's a lot of paranormal talk in between there. And somehow we thought that might make an interesting show for you.
So, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you about to say something?
Nope. What were you about to say? I was going to tell you my boring day. That's it.
Oh, well, that's what I was about to tell you. Go ahead. You start.
I drug my children out to air them out. And we hadn't hiked in a while. Yeah, man, they get stinky. Look, I needed to get aired out too. We went hiking and we hadn't in a while, and I thought we did really good on time, but I'm waiting for my body to be like, yeah, you hadn't been hiking in a while, just so you know. Oh. And payback is going to be a bitch probably, but I'm feeling okay right now. So, and then after that, we came home and watched some Dead Files. Or I started it, and my youngest came in and started watching it with me. And I guess he's never seen Amy Allan before because immediately he had some shit talking to do. He was like, what is wrong with her eyes? And he was like, what is she, some kind of psychic? And I was like, yeah, I was trying to explain the show to him. And he's like, this is fake. He's 12 years old. And he's like, this is bullshit. He didn't say bullshit. But I was like, no, I mean, she really intrigues me because, yeah, she seems over the top because of her facial expressions and stuff. Yeah. And the sound was off on the TV a little bit. And so, so her mouth, what she's saying is not matching up, and she's got crazy eyes. And I was like, this is weird. But
it's overdubbed, like she's actually speaking in Chinese, and they've overdubbed the American version onto her.
Yeah, it was really strange. But he and I had come up with a plan, which we will not do, but I would love to put her to the test, like right into the Travel Channel to their show and be like, oh yeah, I got this going on in my house and that going on in my house, and I see this, and then bring her in and her be like, yeah, no, I don't get any of that.
No. First of all, it's going to be a woman hater, whatever it is that she senses in your house, and possibly an alien.
That was the best episode.
I love her show. She is inventive and very creative on the things that she finds. And I'm sure that she is helping people, especially with understanding what's actually going on in her house and cleansing and clearing the house. I feel like she's actually giving people hope. And that's what, she's being called in to do. But damn it, that show isn't funny. I get a kick out of it. My husband, he likes to tear into it too. Like your 12-year-old, my 39-year-old does.
They're very much alike. So yeah, it was funny to listen to him because it's all the things that we have said before, and I really he watches a lot of that stuff with me. So I was like, you never seen her before? You never saw this magic going on here?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
he loved all of it, the detective and stuff. He was like, who's this guy interrogating people and stuff? And I was like,
oh. Steve Dischiavi. I freaking love him. I started recently just following him on Instagram, and I just expected him to have sort of the same thing as Amy would on Instagram. I guess not like Amy.
No,
like
they're like nothing alike.
They're nothing alike. Steve Dischiavi, like he's taking pictures. Are you following him on Instagram?
Mm-mm.
He's like, oh my God.
I will now though.
He's just taking pictures of him like reclining in his Easy Boy. So it's pictures of his feet and whatever he's watching on TV. So it's super cute, and it's funny to me to see this setup because I don't know if his lady decked him out with all of these cute little items or if this is his style. But it's neat to kind of peek into other people's lives, like Steve Dischiavi, and he's taken pictures of like the beach, like palm trees and stuff. It's very like calm, serene pictures, like not what I would expect from Steve Dischiavi. I'm expecting to see like I don't know why, because he's a retired homicide detective, I believe. But I expect to see like pictures of people he's investigating, hard ass Dischiavi.
No.
Is what I'm expecting to see.
I feel like when the show first came out and stuff, he was always suit and tie in it, and he was always looking like super cop professional. And now he's going with the buttons are undone a little, and you could see some of his gold chain underneath there. And these suits are not exactly like plain. They're a little flashier now. So
he is snazzy. I mean, he's from New York, I believe.
Yeah, but it seemed like he was more like I guess he had maybe just retired and wasn't out of his like cop look, and then he got like flashier as the seasons go by. But he seems like a very laid back guy. Even when he was interviewing somebody today, he kept calling her honey and sweetheart, and I think
I saw that episode.
Was he always like this?
No, he's super sweet. When I did the S.K. Pierce mansion here in Massachusetts, there was a group that I did that one alone, but with Wendy via Skype. So she was with me.
That was so cool,
Skype.
though.
That was so much fun. There was a group there that was hosting it, and they were, I guess, somewhat cool with the fact that I was Skyping. I don't know. I just did my own thing and whatever. But they do this thing in Salem at the Hawthorne Hotel every year where they do like a big paranormal convention or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they did that paranormal convention. She said Steve Dischiavi was very personable, like just came out of the booth, talked to her, hugged her. I mean, just you wouldn't expect that from a celebrity. And maybe it's because he's, a cop deep down. He's not so much just a star like everybody else, the standoffish. You get my autograph for $40. That's so
he seems like a super nice guy. Both of them. That's what I was telling my youngest. I was like, I got to see her in person one day, like do her thing. People like her and like Chip Coffey and stuff like that. I'm like, I got to see this for myself. On TV, you can be like, somebody could have gave them the, maybe this is all fake and produced. But I want to see them like at work at like a cold reading or something like that, because the stuff that they come up with, and she's so precise, and you can see her partner Steve every time he's like, I researched that, like his facial expression is like, I fucking knew it. When she starts saying, I see a man in a suit who was shot, he's like, there's a dude that was shot. Right. It's that guy. Did that.
I love them. Their dynamic is really interesting to me
it
too.
Is.
They are two completely different people. I think she's originally from Boston. She's somewhere from New England, because every now and then she forgets while she's doing that show, and you'll hear a little bit of that accent. I don't know if it's New York or if it's Boston. They're very close to me anyways, as far as accents go. But for most of the time, she's neutralized it. But when she gets going, she lets that shit slip. That's why I think it's Boston, because most Boston people, they try to neutralize that shit until you get them pissed off, and then it's off. Then they're throwing in ours where ours don't belong.
Isn't that everybody though? I feel like I don't have a Southern accent or any kind of accent, but
until you get pissed off.
Yeah, it turns into some crazy country trash. But what did you do today?
Well, actually, I had to go down to Salem to do a little shopping today, but I found out something really interesting, Wendy. You're not going to believe this. I was way early this morning because my body was like, guess what, Chris? It's time to wake up at 4:00. So I'm like half asleep on the couch.
So
what else is haunted in Salem that I don't know about? You're not going to believe this. Your favorite place, you make fun of it every single time we drive past it.
No.
Bung Hole Liquors is actually haunted. Can you believe that?
Yeah, actually I can, because I would just assume every building in Salem is haunted. But tell me, what is going on in that building?
So this is just going off of memory from 4:00 in the morning. In my time, it's now 7 p.m. So let me tell you from memory, this place used to actually be a mortuary.
No.
Yes. And wait, it gets better than that. In the basement, they would do this is around Prohibition times. So they were doing illegal alcohol down in the basement or whatever of the bunghole liquors. So I don't know why it's said to be haunted or who it's said to be haunted, but many people have claimed to experience paranormal phenomena happening at Bunghole Liquors of all fucking places. I was like, no, we've seen that place. We've laughed every single time. You mean I could have gone in there, bought a bottle of wine, and took pictures of maybe I would have got a ghost too? Are you fucking kidding me?
Do you have expensive wine down in the basement?
Basement? Right. I need to go into the basement. What's down there? Please let me go. So I thought that was super rad. But one thing that I think you already knew about, Cinema Salem is allegedly haunted. And this Cinema Salem is actually at the bottom of the parking garage. So we've passed by it 100 times. When we were going to do our paranormal investigation at the firehouse, we walked right by it. It's right there. So Cinema Salem is supposed to be haunted. I know a couple, your boys, Tennessee Wraith Chasers, they've been there. And some other paranormal groups have done tours in there. There's there's a man that dresses in like Victorian era clothing, and he's just chilling, waiting for a movie. People have seen him. They go to approach him, and dude just like disappears.
That's how I feel about strangers too.
You know?
This guy's just like, when is this movie going to start? The previews are 12 minutes long.
That's so funny. You know what? I didn't even think about that. That's why the dude disappears. So among that sort of thing, there's strange smells, there's feelings that happen in there. So I thought that really tied into the story that I'm about to tell you. So if you're ready, I've got a story to tell you. For you, our lovely, lovely listeners, if you have listened to any of our previous podcasts, then you might have already discovered that we have a particular fondness for the movies.
I was like, I'm always talking about TV shows. That's the first thing I have to tell you is like, this is what I saw on TV. And I was like, God, I sound like I never get out. That's why I tried to throw in that I hiked today. Then I watched TV.
Well, I kind of did a little hiking too. It was just on cobblestone streets of Salem, and
that counts, I think. But yeah, we dig the movies pretty hardcore.
I hope so, because my whole beginning is about how me and you both love the movies. Yeah. So just agree with me.
What if I
here.
was like, no, I hate the fucking movies? Would I just tell you 12-minute previews?
Give me 10 minutes. I have to rewrite the whole beginning. So I'm not trying to say that like either of us are super huge movie buffs or anything. It's just that we like to see movies. For me personally, the more terrifying or haunted or creepy the movie is, the more likely it is that I'm going to enjoy it and then reference it here for you on this podcast. I think I just got a cat hair in my eyeball. Hold on.
Yeah, and I could tell you that will not be me.
I know.
I love to hang out with ghosts, but not to watch jump scares. I was watching American Horror Story last night, and I'm way behind, guys. You know, like it takes me forever to realize that something was a good series, and I need to watch it. So I was finishing up the Roanoke season, and this just jump scare city. I was turning away and not watching it when stuff happened like a fucking kid, because I'm like, I don't want to see it.
I can't believe you've even made it that far. To be perfectly honest, you do not like horror movies as far as I can recall. So
I get dedicated. I've invested hours of my time. So.
I hear you. I know how you feel. I'm with Curse of Oak Island, I'm vested. That's why I haven't given up on those boys. They're actually going to find some treasure eventually. That's my one TV nerdity that I just spread it out with you.
Did you get your cat hair out?
I think so. I think I'm ready to read some more. So let's give it a shot.
Ready.
So speaking of terrifying or haunted or creepy movies, my story is actually about one of those movies. Let's just pick one. And the one that I'm going to talk about is actually, it has a bit of a reputation for being cursed. That film is Poltergeist.
Oh my God. This is actually one I've seen. Can you believe it?
Shit, I'm going to have to edit out all the references that I put in here. You don't know this, Wendy, but other people do. So shit, you can agree with me on some of this. That's excellent.
I actually did watch this one.
Oh my God. Did you see all of them or just the main one?
I feel like I've seen two of them, but now I don't remember it. So just the main one, I would say. Okay.
Most likely all of the references in here you're probably going to get. So that's excellent. I'm really excited about this.
Are you proud of me?
I am proud of you. So lots of movies, particularly horror flicks, are actually said to be cursed. The Exorcist, The Omen, Rosemary's Babies. There's only one of them. So how about Rosemary's Baby?
I was like, should I interrupt her?
Do it, man, because I'm working on very little sleep here. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little hoarse. I've developed this sinus cough thing where the coughing is keeping me up through the night. So I hadn't had a lot of sleep. Plus I woke up at the ass crack of dawn so that I could sit and read about haunted places in Salem, you know. So Usually skeptics try to explain away the hexes as either being mere coincidence or marketing schemes. But before you dismiss the Poltergeist curse, you should definitely consider the similarities between the movie and real life. In the movie, Poltergeist, the Freelings, your typical middle-class family, moves into a new house in a Spielberg-style neighborhood, which is set in Agora Hills, California. Everything is great, yada, yada, but then there's this strange shit that starts happening. I mean, I don't think the movie would have been called Poltergeist if it was just about a happy everyday family living out their lives, grocery shopping, and, paying bills. No. So what happens...
That's pretty terrifying.
I know.
Especially in California. Imagine.
I can't imagine. That is terrifying. End of story. The end. But what begins to happen in the movie is a lot of very heavy rain, which leads to the unearthing of a buttload of skeletons. Surprise! They were all buried underneath the Freelings' home. They find out that the real estate developers were very cheap and decided to build right smack on top of a cemetery and just decided to keep that little tidbit of information all to themselves. So basically, all of those dead souls have been denied their final resting place. So they come back to take revenge on the Freelings, ultimately targeting their children, and that would be the Cliff Notes version of this spectacular little horror flick from the 80s. So
I disagree somewhat. So there's a cemetery, and it's probably been there for a really long time. Nobody cares about it. So, which is something that has actually happened in history. So they build on top of it. They try to move them, but some people think that they didn't move them, and they just build on top of them. So the spirits, you say, they are not happy because now they're not at rest. I think things just got a whole lot more exciting for them.
I guess you're right.
I mean, either exciting. They have this cemetery that they just wander around and there's just what looks like rocks, just a bunch of headstones, and they're like, hey, Phil, hey, Sally, what's going on today? Well, that tree blossomed. Yep, that's it. Watching the cars drive by. But now they have this big-ass house with some rowdy little kids in it. They have electronics. They have a pool. I mean, they just got feisty.
I think you've had a little bit of time to think about this, that's interesting. I like your twist or your storyline a lot better, actually. It's more fun that way.
They were just trying to have a good time is all.
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying. They weren't really just being evil. They were just like, man, I've been bored for a real long ass time.
Yeah,
this is going to happen. Okay. I'm with you so far.
Okay.
But in real life, Steven Spielberg and Tobe Hooper, two nice upper middle class filmmakers, move into a Spielberg style film set when all of a sudden strange shit starts happening to them. Like lightning strikes in odd places, unique accidents, all which lead to the numerous rumors and an Hollywood story episode that the dead are taking revenge upon the cast from Poltergeist. So I'm just going to dive right into it. If there was any one person from this movie that you would think of when you hear the name Poltergeist, it's most likely going to be the cute little actress, Heather O'Rourke, that comes to mind first. Yeah. Remember her quote from the movie? They're here. How about they're back? Okay, well, that was actually in the second movie. Anyways, only 5 years old when she starred in Poltergeist, playing as Carol Ann, she was the unfortunate target of these evil forces. However, her involvement with the series may have come with a terrible price. After appearing in all three of the original Poltergeist movies, O'Rourke died tragically and somewhat mysteriously at the young age of 12 years old, which was February 1st, 1988, which will be 31 years ago this Friday. In the middle of shooting Poltergeist 3, she was rushed to the hospital where she ended up dying during surgery. Immediately after her death, O'Rourke's manager mistakenly reported that she had died of the flu, but the actual cause of death was a little stranger than that. As it turns out, O'Rourke died from septic shock during emergency surgery to repair an acute bowel obstruction. She had been born with a stenosis of the intestines that was never diagnosed. Instead, doctors believe she had Crohn's disease, and according to a lawsuit filed by her parents, her death could have been prevented if she had received the correct diagnosis. Side note, prior to her death, O'Rourke also appeared in other movie and TV roles. She also landed a reoccurring role as Heather Feister on Happy Days.
Oh, I never knew she was on anything else.
She was. I didn't list all the other ones that she was in here, but you're going to really like this one, Wendy. Happy Days was filmed at Paramount Pictures, and specifically Stage 19, which is where little O'Rourke is said to haunt.
Ooh.
I know, isn't that? I mean, it's not great that she's deceased, but
that's not what I
love
meant.
That there's. It's incredible that there's a little bit of a side note. By the way, she's allegedly haunting the set of where Happy Days was filmed. I guess
maybe that was like her favorite job that she ever did.
Also, the studio is on the same block, like back to back with the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. So if you're in town, taking in some of the city's famous sights, hoping to spot a star, swing on by the cemetery. There are a number of very famous celebrities interred there.
Hold the phone. Writing this shit down. But you said it's Paramount Studios, and then it's what?
Stage 19.
Stage 19. Writing this down. Summer wish list.
I didn't intentionally do a lot of I don't know why, but a lot of things that I'm gonna have coming up have to do with California stuff. So good for you.
I got my paper and my pen out. I'm ready.
So I knew you'd like that. So Poltergeist was released June 1982, and in November of that year, 22-year-old Dominique, I believe it's Dunne, Dunne.
I've heard that name before. I think you are saying it correct.
Okay. She's the one that played Dana. She was the family's oldest daughter in the original Poltergeist. She was murdered. Like her co-star Heather O'Rourke, Poltergeist was Dunne's first feature film. In 1981, she began a relationship with a complete piece of shit by the name of John Sweeney. He was apparently a chef at a big up-and-coming trendy LA restaurant, but who cares because he sucks. John was, according to court testimony, an abusive, jealous man. And though the court records don't spell it out, I don't have any problem doing it, he also is a complete waste of human existence. I'm not going to rewrite this podcast. I'm just going to put it out there. The couple fought all the time, and one of those fights turning pretty violent because John savagely beat Dominique. And after more violence, including John choking Dominique, she moved out and ended their relationship, which was a smart thing for her to do, although John didn't take to this new situation very well.
You don't say.
Yeah. According to police reports, on the night before Halloween 1982, the chef carved out a chocolate mask in the image of Dominique's face. And then the weirdo brought it over to her house. Right, exactly.
Did you just say the weirdo brought it over to her?
Yeah. I hope that you said weird at the exact moment I said weirdo, because yes, it's
negative.
Really fucking...
Like if she hasn't broken up with him for beating her ass, then this is like I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore.
I know. My next line says, believe it or not, that caused an argument between the two. I know it's a little bit of a shock. Shortly afterwards, John strangled Dominique into unconsciousness. When the police arrived, John told them, I killed my girlfriend and I tried to kill myself. However, he was wrong. The attempted murderer only ended up strangling Dominique into a coma. She sadly spent 4 days in the coma, teetering between life and death before finally passing away November 4th, 1982. John Sweeney, this loser garbage piece of shit, served less than 4 years for the crime. After prison. Yes, ma'am.
4 fucking years? Are you kidding me?
Nope. No, I'm not kidding. He's a piece of shit. And somehow he was just such a good prisoner that he got to get out in 4 years. I think he was actually only sentenced to 7 years also. So he was bound to get out early. 7 years. Come on. But I have some news for you. His name is John Patrick Mora now, and he's in Seattle, folks. So if you're listening,
let's not send people on a manhunt. I don't want to be responsible for that. But at the same time, yes, if you think you're fucking fooling somebody, this is your name. You're a dick.
Right. I think I've tried to spell it out. He's a piece of shit. I don't know. It says that he's married and living. I have no idea. It must be like one of those abuse situations, and she probably can't get out because she knows she's going to get strangled to death or something.
No,
I don't know.
I mean, let's be, I don't know. I'm not going to give him any kind of credit, but I'm sure that he probably got some kind of free therapy in prison.
Yeah. Sure.
Is possibly a better person now. Not that cuts him any kind of slack. I'm just saying. No. I don't want to shame whoever he's with. You know, maybe he is a different person
now. Pierce Brothers Westwood Village Memorial Park and Mortuary. That's a mouthful, but that is the cemetery in which both Heather O'Rourke and Dominique Dunne are interred, and that is also in Los Angeles. There's actually a boatload of famous people buried at that cemetery.
Me sniffling. Sorry.
This is one of those places that you'll want to get a map and hit a bunch of different people. That's a good one. Just saying. Good one. Sad, but because we like cemeteries. But anyways.
Well, let's explain. We like paying our respects before we are trying to contact spirits. If I'm going to stage 19 at Paramount Studios, then and I'm trying to contact her, then I might want to pay my respects before. So it's just polite.
It makes sense.
Bring flowers,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you said, pay your respects. Say hello. I'm going to try and communicate with you later. Just letting you know who I am.
Yeah, just a thank you.
That's nice.
A pre-thank
we do
you.
That. I'm letting you know that we are nice people.
I was about to say that too.
I agree with our kindness.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Meanwhile, we're trying to start, a firing squad on this guy.
Yeah, this other guy. Right. I don't know anything about his life now. I know that he, like I said, presumably has been living as a free man in Seattle after he changed his name. I think he tried to go back to being a chef, but I don't know. I didn't really look into him as much.
Nor should you. He doesn't need any credit. Let's move on. Next.
Moving on. Okay. So one of the most famous scenes from the movie features JoBeth Williams' character, Diane, falling into the family pool, which happens to be filled with skeletons. Neat, huh? I bet she was thrilled. Oh, the skeletons were actually real.
What?
Although the actors didn't know it at the time. In an interview for TV Land, Williams said, and I quote, "In my innocence and naivety, I assumed that these were not real skeletons. Why would she think anything else, right? This is again her quote, I assumed that they were prop skeletons made out of plastic or rubber. I found out, as did the crew, that they were using real skeletons because it was far too expensive to make fake skeletons out of rubber."
But cheap to get real skeletons? Sorry.
I guess.
Was probably too loud. But what?
Yeah. So this is kind of like where the whole curse spun from, the fact that they decided to use real skeletons for this movie.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah,
when
right?
You just lay all over human bones.
When you don't tell those people and they're thinking that they're props, they're going to do their acting thing. So she falls into this pool. It's filled with skeletons. She's freaking out. They're, manipulating the skeletons to appear like they're somewhat animated. They're kind of they're doing a weird, creepy skeleton thing.
Puppet movements on them. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing things that they shouldn't be doing. They're reanimating them. Along with revealing the skeletal nature of the curse, JoBeth Williams told True Hollywood Story that she would return home every night after filming Poltergeist to find that something had tilted all of the pictures in her home. She stated, and I quote again, "I began to think, is someone trying to send me a message that I shouldn't be doing this film?"
Well, that's a jump for one thing. The photos are just tilted, and then you're like, maybe I shouldn't be working,
Wait, look, that's my favorite quote from this whole thing, because wait a second, aren't they in California, and don't they have a lot of tremors? I mean, I'm just
yeah. That's an odd connection that she made. I bet you $1 million there's more to the story. Like she was pissed off that they're using human bones and not telling anybody. Right. And then shit starts happening in her house, and she's immediately like, those it's got to be their fault.
Yeah, sure. She's thinking that now something has kind of followed her home, and she's blaming it on them because of this realization. I can see that. So back to those pesky skeletons. Yes, the skeletons are real, as I've already said, but this was also confirmed by Poltergeist's assistant prop master, Bruce Caan. I like his name. They came from, and I'm quoting again, nobody can see that. They came from Carolina Biological, Caan said, naming a medical and science supply company that sold human skeletons mainly for use in medical schools back in the 80s. Because replica skeletons did not exist, as far as I remember at the time, per Caan. They are now common and relatively cheap. I love this dude. Yeah. And then he says this,
because probably buying human skeletons got to be a big no-no.
Probably. Yeah. I'm sure there's some
well, like I realize that they're used for medical purposes all the time, but it seems a bit degrading to use a skeleton in
well, you're not telling anybody either. They don't know. So she's swimming around in a pool full of people's skeletons. I mean, come on, guys. That's fucked up.
That's fucked up.
And that's the title of this episode. No, I'm just kidding. Per Caan, as for the curse, the filming wasn't any different than any other production he was ever a part of. Reportedly, the crew behind the Poltergeist sequel also used real human remains in the movie too. Gotta love those cheap props.
But I mean, well, yeah, they probably didn't get rid of them.
Yeah, they were just like, it kind of reminds me of the Oddfellows episode that you did.
I've been thinking about that as soon as you said, as soon as you said real human remains, I was like, why does this keep happening? Who allows this? We have PETA to protect animals, but who's protecting these skeletons?
Right. Prop master Caan may not have felt the curse, but others who worked on Poltergeist recall their strange experiences. Reportedly, the mechanical clown used in the movie malfunctioned and almost strangled actor Oliver Robbins. Robbins, who played Robbie, the youngest son, was said to have almost been killed. But check this shit out. The crew thought his strangulation was just very convincing acting. Like, what the actual hell? They're like, man, this kid's great. And meanwhile,
he's getting an Oscar. Oh, he's dying. Oh.
He was really convincing, apparently. I mean, I can kind of put myself in their shoes. They are acting, and he was supposed to be, kind of getting choked up by a clown, and apparently he was just doing that good of a job, looking like he was getting strangled. I don't know. It just sucks that that happened to him. That was totally not supposed to happen. That was accident. Maybe the most Poltergeist-like story connected to the movie belongs to actor James Caan. Caan was tasked with writing the novelization of the movie, and he says that as he was finishing the novel, a freak lightning bolt struck the building he was working in. And this is per Caan. The facing of the air conditioning unit blew right off, flew across the room, and hit the man in his back.
Damn.
Yeah, just boom. And after about half a minute to a minute, it was just that short. All the lights were flickering on and off, and then all of the video games in the room started playing themselves.
What?
First of all, I'd really like to know,
why are there video games?
Are we talking like Tiger, like those old, handheld? Or are these just like Nintendos? Or I don't know what.
This has to be like an Atari in the corner or something.
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe arcade games. The way that he's like talking about how they all just started playing.
Okay, yeah, I could see he's got money.
Yeah, right. So
that's weird.
All these arcade games just started playing themselves. So that's.
I love that he loves video games. I just love him even more now.
I know, right? It just brings him right on back home to us with our video game families. So next up, I've got Will Sampson. Will Sampson played the mystical Native American in the sequel. However, he was, in real life, a real fucking shaman. Do you remember this one? Do you remember the I don't know if you do. Okay, well,
nope,
he was apparently, this is cool. He was apparently upset enough about the curse that he delayed production for hours in order to perform a Muskogee blessing, which is apparently a type of an exorcism, hoping to clear the set of evil. The cast members confirmed that the set actually felt better. It felt lifted and lighter after he did his ritual. However, unfortunately, as these deaths occurred after his ceremony, many feel that his ritual was in vain. Not only did both Heather O'Rourke and Dominique Dunne die under tragic circumstances, Sampson himself perished less than a year later due to complications from a kidney transplant. So, Sampson's not the only death connected to the sequel. There was one of my favorite guys in the sequel, this particularly evil reverend named Caan in Poltergeist 2, just a creepy old motherfucker. And I really shouldn't say that because his real name was Julian Beck, and he pulled off his distinguishingly creepy look in the movie that I was just talking about very well. In fact, so well that come to find out, the reason why it looked so realistic was because the actor was suffering from advanced stomach cancer during the filming, and he died soon after the movie was completed.
Oh.
I know. So it was like if you see him, you're like, "Ugh, the guy's creepy," but he was actually
probably felt terrible. I hear that's like really horrible.
I'm sure. Oh God, I'm sure that was just horrible. So both Beck and Sampson, yes, they were older men. They were unhealthy to begin with, and once you get into the deaths of the older actors from pre-existing conditions, the connections to the curse become kind of strained. But there is one death vaguely connected to the poltergeist that bears mentioning, if only because it's so grisly. So, Lou Perryman had a bit part in the original Poltergeist movie. He played a construction worker. In 2009, the 67-year-old actor was at his home in Austin, Texas, when Seth Tatum knocked on his door. According to witnesses, the two had a brief conversation and went inside together. Seth later left the house all alone. When police searched his residence, they found Perryman dead. His body had been hacked apart with an axe.
Shit.
I mean, Tatum seems to have chosen Perryman completely at random, and in the midst of some kind of a psychotic episode, Tatum left his house and wandered aimlessly for 3 miles before knocking on Perryman's door. Of all the thousands of doors this man passed by during his mad journey, he picked that particular door to knock on. And could that be coincidence or maybe something darker? I don't know.
Was he found like that he was on drugs or something, or is he just a fucked up individual?
He's a fucked up individual. I did look a little bit into this guy. I was unable to determine if he did get death row or if he remained serving life. But apparently he was abusive prior to this. I think he beat up his mom or his mom's boyfriend. He was also a thief, but he had hurt people up until this point. And I guess his shit just fucking collapsed mentally, and he just went out looking for someone to kill. It was just really strange that, again, it just turns out to be somebody connected to the Poltergeist film.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. A random choice, and then it happens to be someone connected to a film that all these other people are. And even like the fact that they had these, I was going to say elderly, but I don't know that maybe that's not polite or whatever. But these people that had pre-existing conditions, why so? It's kind of odd that there's so many that worked on the show and then or movie, and something happened to them afterwards.
I mean, I agree. There's movies that come out all the time. I mean, how come they're not, people that are still perishing? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You would think that you would see more of this.
I mean, it makes sense. They were sick. You knew they were sick before and everything like that. But so many sick people working on this movie. Right.
Yeah. It's wild.
All of it's weird.
It is all very weird.
And you see that Texas justice in play there? This happened in Austin, you said, right?
No, this is all California.
Oh, I thought you said the guy lives in Austin.
Shit, you're absolutely right. He was in Austin, Texas. You're absolutely right.
So death row for being abusive and killing someone.
Yeah.
California. Nothing against California. I'm just saying.
Right. But
abusive,
7 years.
Kill someone. 7 years.
And you did good in 4. So happy life, sir. Here are your clothes.
Bye.
Released. You're done.
Go ahead and change your name too and move away. Yeah. That's fine.
It is pretty wild. Yeah. And you're right. I read it. I said it right here. And then I had to go back and check.
Well, I was like, oh my God, maybe I'm wrong. California is a huge state. Maybe there's an Austin, California I don't know about. I was just assuming Texas.
No. That's even weirder to me. He's not even in the area. This guy's just like
trying to go back to his normal life in Texas, and it still follows him out there.
Yeah, that's messed up. Poor guy. So also Zelda Rubinstein. I hope I'm not saying that wrong. Rubenstein. I think it's Rubenstein.
One or the other.
It's one or the other. She has a story of her own. She's the "This House is Clear" medium from the movie.
Love her.
I know. I love her too. She was Ginny or Tangina Barons. That was her name in the movie. She claimed to have had a vision of her dog telling her goodbye. The actress's mother told her hours later that her dog had died that day. Oh, I hate that. She died in Los Angeles on January 27th, 2010, which was yesterday. She was 76 years old. She was a human rights activist.
So if people don't know exactly who we're talking about, she's the little tiny lady that has the little high-pitched voice or whatever. Everybody's got to know who that is. Just super adorable. Love her.
She was a lovely lady. I feel like she was. I never met her. I wish I could say that I had, but I personally just felt like she's one of those people that you have in your family. Like she's the grandmother or the wicked awesome aunt that you just have around, you know. I mean, plus she's also a medium in the movie. So why wouldn't you want to have this woman around? She's awesome. Right. So Eric Stevens, which was Rubenstein's agent, said that she had never recovered from a mild heart attack she suffered several months prior to her death. Which he said left her a patient at Barlow Respiratory Hospital in Los Angeles. She had several pre-existing conditions that she had been dealing with also, and unfortunately, they basically began to overtake her. Mm-hmm. Stevens said, and per Rubenstein's request, there was never a funeral.
Really?
Yeah, she didn't want one. I thought that was pretty wild too. You know, and not many people just say no to that sort of thing.
It's funny that you say it, though. Today, coming back from our hike, I was telling my kids about something that happened that was really sad to someone at work or whatever. And then we were talking, it spiraled into like talking about, so I had seen once before, I think on like one of these little Facebook things, that you can be buried as a tree, basically. And now I can't remember exactly what it was, but and then that's why I was like, I think they cremate you and then they put you in with like dirt and seeds or whatever. Yeah. It's a tree. And then I was like, wait a minute, I don't think they cremate you. I think it's your body goes into this like biodegradable egg sac and there's a tree in it too, and then you're a tree. And I was like, I hope that that's affordable whenever I pass away. And then just in my mind for a split second, I was like, I don't want a funeral. But I mean, I'm not sold on that. It's just funny you say that and you say it's odd, and I was like, well, I was just thinking today I don't want to do that.
It's odd that you were having that thought today. Did you like psychically reach out to my podcast write up somehow? Did I email this to you? No, but the whole tree thing, I saw that too. And I think that is beautiful because what a better way to kind of give back to the earth, which so I'm going to go off on a tangent here. I was watching BuzzFeed Unsolved this morning, and I don't even remember the episode. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay, the episode. So Shane and Ryan, they're sitting there. Sorry, my wine had some cork in it, and I'm picking it off of my tongue. They're sitting there, and they're talking about how he says what he would like to do is just kind of die out there in the earth and, you know, let the animals or whatever eat on him or whatever. And I think Ryan's the one that's like, oh, yeah, man, that's absolutely beautiful. Kind of like going back into nature and just, you know, letting your bones and everything turn back to dirt. And Shane says, no, man, I mean, like, the vultures come and, like, pick out my eyeballs. And then Ryan's like, what the hell are you talking about? That's horrible. That's not what I was envisioning at all. And the other guy's like, no, that's beautiful. Like, there's just...
It's a cycle of life. I get what he's saying.
I get what he's saying, too, but it was so funny because it was just so, like, you know, the other guy's like, yeah, he's like sort of in this... meditative kind of state of mind when he's thinking about it. He's like releasing back into becoming nature again. He's like, no, when they, you know, the animals were ripping apart my flesh. But going back to your tree story, I saw that as well. And I thought that was a super cool idea. But I also saw, I think it was Mysteries at the Museum or something on TV months ago. Shit, this might even have been a year ago that I saw this. A tree had grown up and some soldier's body was found in the tree. Like the bones. Have you ever seen that? Like there's like his suit of armor and stuff was like in the tree. Like it was coming out like the sword or something. I'll have to look it up now that you brought it up. It was a wild story. And I'm like, oh my God, this tree like is unearthing. And nobody even knew. Nobody even knew anybody was buried there. It might have been in Ireland. It might have been one of your boys out there in the goat field or sheep field.
No, I was going to say, I think there's a lore episode. It is not the same story you're telling. So that's crazy because I'm pretty certain it was a female that they like disappeared and then later found in a tree or whatever. Right? Yeah. And they think she fell in the tree or something too. I don't know how you fall in a tree, but... It was weird, but that's crazy. I mean, we're going to have to Google that later. How many bodies have been found in trees?
I don't know. But speaking of, so going back to the Buzzfeed Unsolved video, at the end, they were trying to figure out how the bodies of these people had not been seen. And I think Shane said maybe they were hiding in the trees. So it's just how that circles all the way back. He's like, why the fuck would they have been hiding in the trees? He's like, I don't know. No, they were just there. So long tangent, but good stuff, people. Check out these people that we're talking about. It's funny and entertaining, and it's good to watch. Lots of history and informative. Anyways, back to Poltergeist. So,
and check out the tree burial thing too, because I think it's more recyclable or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Than putting a coffin in the ground.
I like it. I like it way better.
Well, then I was thinking to myself, I was like, or you can just cremate me and I throw me in with the dirt with the tree, and it's the same thing. It's probably cheaper.
And then you become the tree anyways.
Right.
How many people, their ashes have just been given away to like the woods and stuff behind me.
Ooh.
I might have to ask Michael about that later on. So anyway. That's why he's confused.
He doesn't know what the fuck. Why'd you just throw me out here in the woods?
Where's my arms?
He has arms when you saw him before, though, right? He was a little boy when you saw him.
A little boy. Yeah, I saw a little boy. And he looked like he was complete. All
right, back to your movie.
Okay. So back to the Poltergeist. Like seemingly every beloved horror classic from the 70s and the 80s, Poltergeist was recently rebooted. Dr. Gil Caan was actually hoping the Poltergeist Curse would be rebooted as well.
What?
Yes.
Asshole.
I know. This guy and his family, they're all like, oh, let's go. Bring it on. They love it. They wanted it. This guy, director Gil Caan, did report inexplicable equipment failure on the set and says the curse followed him away from the filming. The house that I rented, this I'm quoting again, the house that I rented during filming was straight up legit haunted by a female spirit dressed in black. Now, those were not my words. They sound like my words, but that is director Gil Caan. He says, she definitely was there. It didn't follow me back to Los Angeles, but it followed me from the set back to where I was sleeping during filming. And that's it. That's all he's got. But I did read that, yes, him and his family are basically big into like numerology. They follow things that you really shouldn't. Like they prefer 13 as their lucky number. They kind of chase things in an effort to stay away from it. It's in their mind, the closer they are to the things that should be more taboo or you should fear or stay away from, then they should actually be further away from it. I don't get that psyche, but that's how they tend to live their lives. Unfortunately for this guy, it doesn't really seem to have worked out completely, because he did say he felt like he was being haunted by a female spirit dressed all in black wherever he was renting during the filming of that movie. Even though he did want it to follow him. I don't know. Whatever. That's it. That's all I got for him.
Whoa. They sound like some interesting people.
I bet they are. I bet they're a lot of fun at parties.
I'd probably go to their dinner parties and stare at them just like I'm staring at you right now and be like, what? I don't get it. No, it's like a run towards danger type thing.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm into that.
With sisters.
See, I might run towards it. Like, what's that sound? Let's investigate. But I don't run with, let's go piss it off. Let's remake a cursed movie because I want to be cursed. No, I didn't ask for that.
You know, this is so funny. So the reboot, I don't know if you've ever seen it or not. It's okay. Now, before I wrap up this very long story, I have only 2 more creepy paranormal points to mention. So check this shit out. Inspiration for Poltergeist was reportedly the story of the Cheeseman Park in Denver. And you worried me a little bit earlier, Wendy, because you started in on talking about how, you've heard about this sort of thing before. So check this out. You might already know the story and didn't know it was a real place. A beautiful city park in a prestigious residential neighborhood. Its rolling green lawns and Greek columns stand on the site of Denver's first graveyard. When the park was built over a century ago, the bodies were supposed to be dug up and buried elsewhere. But as in the film, the headstones were removed, though the corpses were all left in place. To this day, there may be as many as 2,000 skeletons beneath Cheeseman Park. And of course, there are reports of ghost sightings and haunted homes throughout the neighborhood. And I could be totally butchering the name of this. I like saying Cheeseman, but there's no E at the end of that S. It might be Chessman Park. So just, it's Cheesman, Cheeseman, Chessman. It's in Denver. I'm sure if you look up Poltergeist,
Denver, I bet if you just put those 2 words together, it'll pull the story up for you.
There you go. And finally, get ready for this one. There was an Indian burial ground unearthed in 1969 during the construction of a supermarket in Agoura Hills, California. This is where the Los Angeles suburb where Poltergeist would be filmed in 1981. Isn't that nice?
I mean, there's no way they would have known, but this is what caused everything.
Yeah, that's right.
Mystery solved.
It's all right there.
You all died because you were disrespectful.
That's what we do. We come in, we write stories, we tell you the stories, and then we solve this shit.
That's duh. I mean, that's just, it always leads back to a Native American burial ground, doesn't it?
Exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. Right out of my mouth and right out of my wine glass hand. It's crazy though. Like I'm Wendy, I could have written more. Like there's so much to dig into. Like, you know, when I'm telling you about how the mom came home and she's like, all my pictures were tilted. Everybody felt as if there was a paranormal undertone. There was something happening to them because they were in this film. They were just like, and this happened to me. And while I was walking my dog, this happened to me. But it's almost like, where does it end, guys? I mean, shit.
That's so now we know why that was happening to them for sure. But also at the same time, we do have to be realistic here. If you're like I told you, I watched like 5 fucking episodes of Roanoke of American Horror Story. What do you think I dreamed about when I went to bed? At least at first. Then I had this weird dream that I don't remember now, but it was super boring. But like, I had a baby. There was dragons and I had a dragon baby.
Oh, did you really?
I did, but then I was trying to hide it from my parents. So.
I mean, I can see why. It would be a little weird to explain. Like, how did you?
I was afraid people were going to come and take my dragon baby from me. But
they're like, how did that?
Well, I think it was adopted, though.
Oh, okay.
I didn't give birth to a dragon baby. It came out of the sky like some Night Fury type stuff. From
you've been reading all the Game of Thrones. So yeah. Dreaming about dragons.
A problem. But no, this was like How to Train Your Dragon type dragon that like came crashing in, and then there was a baby dragon, and I went, it was toothless like baby, and I took it in. Anyways, before that though, I was having horrible dreams because I kept thinking of like all the mad shit that happens on that Roanoke show. So all these people are working on a set where shit's moving and it's scary and they're rolling around with real live dead bodies, and then they go home. I mean, it's hard to shake that shit off. So every little creepy thing that happens, you're gonna be like, what the fuck was that? Well, when we were watching that Roanoke stuff last night, all of a sudden the front door's behind me where I sit on the couch, and then you just hear like loud noises that sound like someone's at our fucking door. And I was about to jump up out of my skin. And it's the fucking cat. It's the cat over there pulling on the damn blinds again. She pulls on the blinds, and the heavy bottom plastic part like beats up against the wall. And that's what it was. I thought somebody was like shaking the fucking door handle.
Yeah, that's frightening. I mean, you can't see it. All you can do is let that sound transform in your brain something spooky. I mean, and that's what we do for a living. Anyways, we go into dark, scary places. We stay there overnight. We try to, do our divination and wake the dead, so to speak. So that's exactly where your mind's going to go. That's where my mind goes.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about how these people in the films, they're in a movie called The Poltergeist. Like I said earlier, it's not about paying bills and just grocery shopping. It's about shit happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they go home and they're supposed to flip the switch. So
right.
Some of that stuff could be written off to them just being paranoid because they're on edge, but also physical shit happened to them. People lost their lives after this. Yeah. And that is odd. I mean, really odd.
Yeah. And sad for some of these people. They didn't. It was unnecessary,
Yeah, random acts of violence, and then these are people at young ages passing away from stuff. I mean, like those kind of occurrences happening, and them all having some kind of a connection, and then the Native American burial ground. I mean, like, no.
I know. I had to save that for the end because that's just magnifique. That's the one, a spicy meatball.
That's
I love
it. Done.
So,
mic drop and just walk
right?
out.
Mic drop. Oh, that'd be a perfect way to end. Can I drop a headset?
Just rip it off your head and throw your mic down? No.
I can't. Then I won't have any way to record me. So what do you think, Wendy? This controversial horror flick spawned 2 sequels, a reboot, and countless bad dreams. But did the supernatural movie actually birth a deadly curse that many believe continues to this day?
I think on top of the Native American burial ground stuff, they don't like being disturbed or disrespected. And then the fact that wasn't the premise in the first movie, that it was built on a cemetery or whatever. So it's almost like they're poking fun of what they actually did. And then the human body thing, so disrespectful, so rude.
It is rude.
You just
don't do that.
Like, duh, you're going to get a curse behaving this way.
I agree. I mean, it's wild. Look, if it's just too much of an expense for you to make the skeletons, at least make sure everybody that's going to be acting with them and swimming with them is totally cool with the fact that that's what they're doing. That they are skeletal remains. They are not just props. People need to be aware of that.
Yes. So just like we were talking about in the beginning about we are nice people. We pay our respects. They could have come into it a lot more respectful. They could have said, "All right, guys, all you guys down in the pool." It was in the pool, right?
Yeah, she fell into yeah.
All you guys down in the pool, you're real human beings. I respect that. I appreciate you being here. Let's make a great scene together.
Yeah.
Let them be a part of it.
They forgot that they're human beings, and they got so caught up in just making this movie and how awesome and epic it was going to be that they forgot that they should have respected them too.
Yeah.
And they did. Yes. Yeah. I'm with you. I think it's wild that, this is a movie from my childhood and you actually saw it. I love that. And that there's a lot of stories behind it. There's just so much that, I think it could take a little extra investigating. I could do more stories on it, but why? That's enough. That's all you need. That's my story. That's all I got.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm super proud of myself for this being one that I know and that I was semi-familiar with the whole curse thing, though I didn't know it in detail. I just knew it was one of those like cursed movies and shit happened afterwards.
Yeah.
I knew about Carol Ann. I don't know her real name. Heather. What you say?
Or work.
Yeah, I did not know about Dominique Dunne, and I swear that must have been how I know her name. Is I'd heard that she'd been murdered by her fucking boyfriend, but I didn't think about her. Like I didn't know that was her name and the actress and blah blah blah. You know, so I appreciate you telling me that, retelling me that story, or telling me that story.
No problem. I was really intrigued. Like I said, every time I dug deeper and deeper, I was like, what? And like I said, they're both located at the same cemetery. The cemetery is highly active, but I'm going to have to save that information for a later date.
Ooh. Yes, I take note of all California locations. Done. Every weekend away, I'm allowed at least one paranormal location per family vacation. At least one.
At least one. That's pretty cool.
I try to sprinkle in more than that. But
I know, me too. It's like, whatever. Oh, there's a graveyard. Hang on, something's happening there. Let's stop. Stretch our leg,
real quick,
right?
pull over. I just need a picture and to be here for an hour. Get my recorder.
Driving through Maine, that's like every quarter of a mile. There's like so many cemeteries.
I don't know how you get anywhere. I mean, we drove for a fucking hour out to where we hiked today. We passed nothing but the desert and McDonald's, and that's it. It's like, and mountains. That's all we get to see. I think about like the kind of pictures that you post every weekend or whatever of the things that you're doing. You're like, I'm going to go visit this castle and I'm going to go visit this like 100-year-old, 1,000-year-old cemetery. And I'm like, I'm going to go walk around on a dirt path around mountains. I'm going to do that some more.
Beautiful.
They are really beautiful. And I was wearing a t-shirt. You can't say that.
No, I can't. I was freezing. I'm sick. The wine hopefully will get rid of whatever cold I've developed. But like I said to you before, Wendy, I'm saving it all for you. When you come to visit me, I will take you to all of these magical places. So it's still there. It's still going to be there. I won't let them tear down these 1,000-year-old cemeteries.
It's been there for a while, so I think it'll be there when I come, hopefully this summer. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So, well, that was it. Yeah, you can send us messages if you want about anything that we talk about or anything you just want to tell us about. You can send emails to creaturesofthenightparanormal@gmail.com, or you can check us out on Instagram or Facebook, and that is COTN_paranormal. And that's it. You can leave messages on that too. And just real quick before we go, flashback to our Divot Box on Wheels episode about the haunted car.
Yeah.
Not Christine, but Steven Spielberg's, nope, because you said his name earlier. Sorry. Stephen King's movie, Christine, was possibly modeled off of a real live haunted car, the Golden Eagle in Maine. And so when we posted pictures and we're talking about that, promoting the episode, there were 2 people that responded that they have haunted cars. And I was like, I had no idea that this was a common thing. Wild. So D. Laredo 72 commented that I had a Jeep Cherokee Laredo, and I just realized that his, what do you call it, username on Instagram is the same. I'm assuming I really don't know actually, is based off of that Laredo or whatever. Yeah. But he had a Cherokee Laredo 4x4. He bought it really cheap, excellent condition. I keep saying just because he has a picture of the Hulk as his photo. I really don't know. That could be a girl. Sorry. And then discovered why. The Jeep had a bad demon on it. And they didn't get detailed on what it might have done, but they tried to give it away, and then it was the person they gave it away to, it was stolen off the street, and then that fucking person returned it like, nope, never mind. And then the person ended up getting it back. D. Laredo 72 got it back, and then he decided, well, just fuck that noise. He parked it on the side of a street somewhere and was like, that's it.
And walked away?
Don't want to see that ever again. Then there is Isabel. I'm trying to, when these names all run together, you don't really know. Isabel R. Yates, maybe? Her story is wild. She had a 63 Chevy that made people deathly ill. Anybody that drove it, or she let her aunt borrow it once, her aunt passed away. She bought it for a total of $125, this 63 Chevy. So that was a red flag right away. But then again, she said that the gas tank never went down below a quarter of a tank. And she was like, it never ran out of gas. I was like, deal. I would keep this car. You know, just don't let anybody drive it. That right? And then, so she tried to find out what was going on with it, like why, she was having this paranormal kind of weird activity. She found out that it belonged to the son. It belonged to a guy whose son passed away in Vietnam. When it was parked before the son left for Vietnam, it was on a quarter of a tank. So she thinks that's the connection there. Yeah. And then when her aunt had it, when she was letting her aunt borrow it, at one time she woke up in the middle of the night, the car was gone, just on its own, or maybe someone stole it, but it was back the next morning. So a lot of haunted vehicles out there. Just going out and doing their business and coming back, killing people. I gotta go handle this. But just FYI to anybody out there looking for a new car for a new year, don't. No, be very cautious.
Yeah. Or, if you've got one of these badass demon cars, Zach Bagans is out there, man. He's looking to buy stuff.
You'll probably always sell it to him.
Don't leave it parked on the side of the road. Contact the man.
Right.
Give it to someone who wants to show it off to people like us in a safe, protected environment.
But share your stories with us, and we'll share them on our podcast if that's what you want us to do. And thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks so much. And thanks so much for responding to that story. That means a lot to me as well. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Bye. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.